So I can probably open up, like, it's time to go over to the boss.
Yeah. Only
All
one
right.
boss, my friend. Only one boss.
Time for this.
Ocean Drives films with Eclipse Dine-In Cinemas Bundoran. Now serving pizza, hot dogs, ice cream, and more. To your seat. Find out more at Eclipse.
Now, time to join our man at the cinema who's feeling a bit cold. He's just back from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Collie.
Well, it's fairly Nebraska monkeys out here too. I was just thinking there. I got lost in thought because, we've been doing this for what about 1,000 years now at this stage, long before the invention of cinema. But if there ever was a chance to intro me in as going 1, 2, 3, 4, that was our chance. This week is our chance. Because we're going to talk about the new Bruce Springsteen movie. But it's not just the Bruce Springsteen movie. Of course, it's a bank holiday, so it's lots of stuff. But we've got a movie called Regretting You, which is going to be a big, big hit. Best-selling author in the world, Colleen Hoover. But also an Irish movie that not only does it feature Bundoran, it actually features Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran. So you would think that would make me like it. But we'll find out in a few minutes. But I suppose, look, I am a Bruce Springsteen fan, I would say. If people say, "Are you a fan?" and I go, "I've seen him a good few times. I like him, like the albums, but I am no expert. Like I'm really not, a connoisseur. There's other bands I would list in my top 10 before Bruce, but I'm a convert to Bruce live. So I was really intrigued when they said they were going to make a movie because Bruce is still kicking about. He's doing well with himself. He does, to a casual fan, he doesn't have the sort of story arc of a Freddie Mercury or Elton John of in Despair. Whereas I know people like yourself who are huge fans, know the backstory a bit more. So while it might be less surprising to some people, I went into this movie about a particular period in his life between just when he was about to become a megastar, with open eyes. We're going to play a clip and maybe it gives you an example.
It's awfully fitting for a handsome devil rock star. I do know who you are.
Well, that makes one of us.
Hey, boss, can you do a mic check?
How's that sound?
Looks about right.
Don't need to be perfect. I want it to feel like I'm in the room by myself.
I want to feel it like I'm in the room by myself. And that'll tell you a little bit where we're going with this, isn't it?
Absolutely. I really picked the clip there, although I was a bit worried because you're such a Bruce fan. I said he's going to play he's just going to sit and watch it because we did invite you up, but you couldn't make it. And I know you're disgusted that you haven't seen it yet.
I was raging. And we'd had organised for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. Life happens, which is very Bruce Springsteen anyway. But here's the thing. You picked the right clip, but not so much for that bit, I think, as the bit where, he buys his first fancy car because he's starting to get money from the River Tour and all that sort of stuff. And the guy goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." And he goes, "Well, I don't." But that's on two levels. One, Bruce was lost in himself at that stage. But also, he really found it uncomfortable, being off stage. On stage, Bruce knows who he is and what he's doing. But once he's off stage, this fame, this, everyone's saying how great he is. This, he can lead the band on the stage, but in life, he doesn't know where he's going. But he's drawn to these dark songs, and you can see his manager looking at him going, these aren't the hit, these aren't singles. They're great songs, Bruce, but they're not the singles. Now, one of the big revelations for me, I knew he went off Between the River and Born in the USA, that he wrote Nebraska, and because of you and my sister, Neve, who's a huge fan, I'm very familiar with the album. I really liked the album, and I knew it was a dark period. But of course, I went to it after Born in the USA, after Tunnel of Love. So I didn't realize that this was just before he was going to be a star, and to release this album, it seemed like career suicide at the time. But not least the fact that he'd actually already written Born to Run. He'd already written Cover Me, which was for Donna Summer, which I didn't know. All of the Darlington County. And then he had to say to his manager, "Nah, see all these hits? I'm not releasing them unless you release Nebraska." So I thought this was fascinating. Jeremy Allen White, who lots of people will know from The Bear, I think he's very, he's very good in this. Although it is kind of a similar, a man. So Bruce is so eloquent in when you see him now and on stage, such a storyteller, but he seems to be struggling to get, to explain to people what's wrong with them. And I don't know, you'd have to ask experts. Was that, when he did start, helping himself and going to therapy? Is that when he became the great raconteur that he is now? Or was it that case that, again, the man on stage and the man behind the scenes are very different? I really liked this. I thought it was very interesting. So I learned loads of stuff. Now, but my confession is, my sister, who is an absolute Bruce expert, wrote a thesis on him and everything, thought it was good, but I think that's about it. She found that they left out parts of the story she was more interested in and put in stuff. She goes, surely everyone knows that. Maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong. I don't know. But I think sometimes it depends on your expectations when you're coming in. Yeah. As somebody who's seen Bruce, tens of times. Maybe her expectation was different to mine. But I think it's really interesting. But like A Complete Unknown that we talked an awful lot about, Seamie, it's a slice of his life. This is not his whole life story. If you just want to see a concert film, well, look, there's so much Bruce concert film out there. Go see the real thing. But it's very interesting. It's very good. And I think he might get an Oscar nomination. I think it's in. And he is singing himself.
Which is great. Like,
the best review I can give it. I got out of the cinema, I got into my car, and I put on Nebraska all the way home. And I think that's probably the best review. So it's a really good, interesting movie. But if you're just going for the Boss's greatest hits, you won't get that. But if you're going to see an interesting movie about an interesting guy, I think there's a lot to take here.
What I find interesting, and I think is brilliant, is that Bruce Springsteen was involved in the whole film, and he was there for a lot of it, and and he actually picked Jeremy Allen.
Yeah,
he actually wanted him to play him.
Yeah, and you can see why. And the other thing is, I think, Seamie, as well, he doesn't come across maybe as badly as Bob Dylan does in some of A Complete Unknown, but it's not Bruce at his best. And I thought that was interesting, that Bruce saying, no, look at this. And maybe Bruce was going, look, at the time when everyone says, God, that guy's got it all. He's got the girl, he's got the money, he's got the cars. He was at a really low ebb. And I think that's a really important message, in the world. We these are things in everyone's life. You never know what's going on with people, and everyone needs help.
If you have mental illness problems or whatever, and at that time, it would have never been talked about.
Yeah,
not from his
especially
background.
Bruce's background, which it shows, that blue collar, what. You got to be a real man, shuts up and gets on with it. And
the Irish in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, moving on quickly. He said, regretting you, and you reckon this is going to be good. You sent me a few clips that were really good.
Yeah,
it looks interesting.
It is. And it's a romantic drama, which is what Colleen Hoover does. She wrote It Ends With Us, which was a massive hit last summer. And funny with this one, I think she's so established, there aren't really big stars in it because they don't need it, because she's the big star. Do you know what I mean? She's the book. So it's a story about a family. It could be a Bruce Springsteen song, except instead of father and son, it's a mother and daughter. She loses her partner quite early on in life, and it's just about their struggle to relate to each other as they're growing up and growing apart. It's a lot, probably will be mostly a female audience, but it's really smart, intelligent stuff with a bit of soap in, because who doesn't like a bit of soap? Like, we pretend we don't, but we like that. So this is going to be I think this is going to be a big bank holiday hit.
Okay, that's regretting you. Watch out for that. Now let's talk a little bit about the spin. That's tonight, and you got a Q&A and stuff.
There's a Q&A tonight, so it launches tonight. It's going to run for at least a week. I'm hoping it does more, because this, not only is it a local movie, and as I said, it actually features the cinema, but I didn't know that before I went in to watch it. But it's also really good, and that is the important thing, right? So it's a story about two characters that could be out of your life, Seamie. It's two lads who run a record shop in a time when nobody's buying records, or not enough people are buying records to pay the rent, and they hear of a record that's going in Cork that they can sell. The guy only wants 30 quid for it, and they are thinking it's worth 40 grand.
Wow.
We won't tell them this is going to save our life. It's that big scam, the one big thing. And they decide to drive in an old battered out car to Cork. Now they go from Omagh, from Tyrone. They're going via Bundoran, Sligo down to Cork, and they travel all over the country. And as the blurb says, Ireland, you could walk it in a week, you could cycle in a day, and it takes these pair of Egypts, 5 days to drive. And they are Egypt. And, it is, as I said before, it's a bit top of the morning in parts zone, but I think that's because they're looking for a fun, broad audience. They wanted to do well in the UK and abroad. And it's two characters that all of us recognize, and they're so nerdy about music. It's like the conversations you and I have here off air, right? Yeah. And it's fun and it's silly. But it's such an eclectic task, because the lads are in it. One of the lads from Hardy Bucks It has Tara Lynn from Derry Girls, but also Maura Higgins from Love Island, and a pussycat doll in it as well. And it's just a mishmash. They keep on meeting these people. And I think people are going to really like it. And it's a nice contrast to the other movies. As I said, Regretting You is quite serious. And the Bruce Springsteen movie, I really enjoyed, but it is quite deep and dark. But for something just that's light and fluffy and Irish and just feel good movie, I think.
Well, I'm delighted you like it. And as a spoiler, are you actually in it?
No, I am not in it. The cinema. I think I was in the cinema the day they filmed the outside of the cinema. So technically I'm in it. I'm counting it. I'm putting it down on my credits. But if anyone's around Bundoran tonight, there's a Q&A. You'll love the music in it, Seamie, with the writer, and he did all the music for it as well. There's a Q&A, and then it's going to run for a week, and then it's going to be around. And look, if people come and see Irish movies, they will play longer, and we will have more of them, and more power to them.
Okay. Great. Very quickly then, Chainsaw Man at 10 seconds.
Chainsaw Man, it's an anime one, so people who love this will love this. They already know what's going on. They're not the ones listening. But it'll be a big hit for a week. They'll all go and see it the first week, and then it'll go away. But it's great stuff. You know, if you like
Chainsaw Man. Right. Okay. Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. You're bringing that back as the Missed It Monday.
One I really liked got kicked around by the critics. It's a romantic comedy with Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. I could watch them all day. And I'm glad to say, in the last couple of weeks, people said, oh, I really enjoyed that. Come back. And I go, see, when the hype goes away, good movie is a good movie is a good movie. 5:50 on Monday. Bank holiday Monday.
That's all we got on the movies. So next Thursday. Thanks, Collie.